Hi, everybody. I'm Walter. I'm the Dutch mentor, and welcome back to the Smart Performance Podcast. S for self-care, M for mindful growth, A for adaptive problem solving, R for rhythmic operation, T for a thriving community, and P, of course, for performance. I'm happy to have Stanley with me today as we're going to be diving into something very appropriate. It's the beginning of the year. We'll all make lots of promises. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. Of course, by the third week of January, that all falls apart because one thing we don't do is follow through. But I hear that Stanley has been successful on his own journey, and he's going to tell us a little bit about that, as well as a 4-step process. And as always, stick with us, 20 minutes or less, and key takeaways. There's some action items coming your way that you can implement today to be more successful for sustainable outcomes, and these are behavior-based, not technical-based. Stanley, thank you very much for joining me today in conversation, and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, my name's Stanley Bronstein. I'm an attorney and a CPA by trade, but I've turned into life coach and author. We're going to talk about change is possible, and I'm going to show you, this is my proof that change is possible. 35 years ago, that was me at 367 pounds. This is me today around 145 pounds. No drugs, no surgeries, getting my head on straight and walking and learning to eat properly, all those types of things. We're going to kind of touch on some of those things, but I'm going to give you kind of the quick overview. First of all, we're right around, it's January 8th as we're recording this. You know, many of you made New Year's resolutions. Many of you have probably already fallen off the wagon and not kept those New Year's resolutions. I did the same thing 17 years ago when I got started. I am February 1st, 2009. You notice I said February 1st, not January 1st. I had decided that year, I was 320 pounds at the time. I wasn't at my max like you saw in the picture, but I was 320, big enough. And I decided that January 1st, I was going to start getting in shape that year. Well, I didn't keep to my resolution. As February 1st was rolling around, did I say, oh, it's too late, I screwed up, it's done? Nope. I said, time to get started now. Better late than never. So I tell you, it doesn't matter if it's February 1st or not. You can start right now. And we're going to talk about that. So I sat there. I was 320 pounds at the time, 4 months away from my 50th birthday. I asked myself an important question. Where am I going to be in 5 years if I don't change my habits? And I didn't like the answer because the answer was I was going to be dead. I wasn't committing suicide by putting a gun to my head, but I was committing slow-acide by eating myself to death. Well, I said, I'm done. I'm going to start making changes now, and I'm going to start learning to eat better now, and I'm going to start exercising every day now. My exercise is going to be walking. It was not a perfect process. I didn't do it all at once. I made mistakes along the way. I am a human being, just like you are, just like all of us. None of us are perfect. So if you mess up, don't worry if you mess up. All that matters is that you pick yourself back up and you get going again. Because the goal, you have one goal. I want you to remember 2 words. Eat yesterday. That is your goal. Your goal is to be better today than you were yesterday and be better tomorrow than you were today. And if you mess up and you have a day where you didn't beat yesterday, don't punish yourself. Don't beat yourself over the head. Just say, okay, I'm going to do better tomorrow. I'm going to learn from what I did. I'm going to do better tomorrow. So you start doing that. Now, changing your life can be scary. I mean, a lot of the changes I made would have scared my pants off. If you would have told me 17 years ago I would be the person I am today, after I got through laughing in your face, telling you it was impossible, I would have been scared. Well, there's 2 ways to deal with fear. You need to change your mindset about fear. Fear can either forget everything and run, or you can face everything and rise. Obviously, I'm suggesting to you that you try to face everything and rise. Now, once again, you're human beings. You're not perfect. You're going to make mistakes. If you do, that's okay. Just pick yourself up. Keep going. part of my weight loss journey, I ultimately wound up losing. If you go back to the full 35 years ago, I've lost like 220 pounds over the whole time. I created a system. I'm a systems thinker as an accountant. I created a system out of this. How can I simplify this so that it's repeatable so that other people can do it? Well, I came up with a system that I call the Way of Excellence, which you see in the chart on the wall. And it's also on my website, which I'll tell you about a little bit later. You notice it's not called the Way of Perfection, it's called the Way of Excellence. Perfection is not something you're going to achieve. We're human beings. Remember that. The goal is to work toward excellence. Just keep getting better and better and better. It's like if you engage in what's called constant and never-ending improvement, CANI, can I? You will find the answer is yes, you can. It's like putting money in the bank and earning compound interest. You sit there, if I would have put $100 in the bank 17 years ago and left it untouched earning interest 17 years later, it'd be a heck of a lot more money. I am not the person I was 17 years ago, but I am in year 17 of constantly improving a little bit day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year. And it grows. And it also makes my mouth water when I ask myself, where am I going to be 17 years from now?
Well, on that note, let me jump in there for a second because I think it's really important to remind people who are listening to this. It is your weight loss journey. It might be somebody else's, I need to quit drinking or I need to do something else, right? It's really, really important to remember that so we can relate to the topic here. It is about changing habits and behavior, which is the single most difficult thing to do for people. We're not built like that. I love the fact that it's excellence, not perfection, right? It is about making sure that every single day is your new opportunity to start. So it's not about January 1st or February 1st. It's about what you say, today needs to be a little better than yesterday and so on and so forth. So tell us about the 4 things that you have figured out that people need to implement. Take them one by one and then talk about an action item that people can take today, whatever behavior they try to change for themselves.
First of all, thank you for reminding me when you pointed about it. This is not about weight loss. Weight loss. I usually tell people that, but since this is so short, I'm kind of going. It is weight loss is my story. Yours is something different. Which, by the way, you talk about alcohol. That was also one of the things I did. I quit drinking 17 years ago when I did that. Okay, there are 4 factors that I have identified that determine whether or not you're going to be successful in change. They're willingness, belief, discipline, and commitment. And the reason why they're numbered 16, 17, 18, and 19, my system, the Way of Excellence, has 20 parts to it. These are 4 of the last 5. 16, 17, 18, 19. Willingness, belief, discipline, commitment. Okay. One of the things I learned is I've lost weight many times over the years, but I've only kept it off once. And that was because in the past, the changes I made were temporary. Temporary changes are going to give you temporary results. Permanent change is going to give you permanent results. So you have to become willing to permanently change for the rest of your hopefully very long, very healthy, very happy life. You have to become willing. But if you go back to concept 6 of my system, which we're not going to really talk about in detail, change your perspective. You don't have to become willing. You're alive and breathing. You get to become willing. It is your privilege to become willing. It is not your obligation. It's a privilege. Okay. Then the second one is number 17 is belief. Believing that you can do a thing. If you believe you can or you believe you can't, either way, you're going to be right. Plain and simple. Well, one of the things I've learned 3 things out of my whole journey, and the third one applies to you, to all the listeners. First one is I am more powerful than I ever imagined. I'm a very confident man, and I far exceeded what I thought I could have done. Second thing is that if I did these things, what else am I capable of doing that I haven't done yet? So I threw a challenge out to myself. And then the third thing is, if I'm more powerful than I ever imagined, so is everybody else. I am no more special than you are. You are no more special than I am. We are all, each and every one of us, special. Remember that. You are, I've not even met you, the listener. You are more powerful than you ever imagined. I can promise you. Believe it. Okay? Then discipline. That's number 18. And by that I mean self discipline, not punishment, self discipline, forming new positive habits and breaking old negative habits. For me, some of my negative habits were I would sit on my butt all day. I wouldn't get any exercise. I wouldn't get off the couch. Okay. I would go to Chinese buffets and eat lunch every day. Those were negative habits. I needed to break those. Or as you would say, I got to break those. It was my privilege to break those. And then I needed to form new positive habits. Learning to eat better. First of all, I had to learn what healthy nutrition was. I have a website that when I give it to you later at the end of the program, where I've got a lot of information on that. And then I decided I was going to start walking every day, another positive habit. And I did things to reinforce those habits. I put my clothes on the nightstand every night before I go to sleep. When I wake up, first thing I do is put on those clothes, go stretch, and I'm either out the door or I'm on the treadmill in the other room. Every day, every day, every day, every day. It's been over 8 years since I last took a day off, and I was sick as a dog when I took those days off. Um, so it becomes a habit. Same thing with eating healthy. I eat healthy every day because it's who I am. I changed my identity. That is so important with changing. Permanently changing your identity, becoming a different person. I eat healthy because I am a person who eats healthy. I walk every day because I am a person who walks every day. I get some form of exercise every day. It is who I am. Like I
I,
said before, yeah.
I think there's a good saying about it. It's not something else that I do, but it is what I do, right? It is part of what I do. And that's where habit forming and leadership and developing any kind of behavior. But so 8 years of walking, except for on the days that you were really sick, phenomenal, right? That's truly, you have created a new normal for yourself. The problem is that most people, they do it for 8 days and then they don't do it for 2 or 3 or 4 days and they end up falling off the wagon, so to speak. So, how do you recommend using your system or your philosophy to get back on the wagon? Because that's where failure starts, and that's where success can end, right? Now, that
Okay.
when you say that excellence is not perfection, there's a good reason behind that. But so, give the audience some strategies and what can they do to hold themselves accountable and get back on the horse if they miss out 2, 3, 4, 5 days.
That's concept number 11 and number 19. 11 is the power of persistence. Never give up, never surrender. When you fall off the wagon, you get back up. You don't beat yourself over the head. You go, I screwed up. Yeah, you did. So what did I learn from that screw up? I learned that I screwed up. I learned what I did wrong, and don't do it again, or do it less often. You know, this is not it. I didn't change overnight. I wished I could say that when I started, my change was a straight line. Well, it wasn't. It was zigzag all over the place. That's normal. That's called being a human being. Wait, okay. I want to add something. You say they fall off the wagon after 8 days. Okay. In the past, add those 3 words, in the past. That is what they have done in the past. Well, we're talking about the present and the future. And in the present and the future, they have learned, if they're listening to this, they're learning right now. You can say, that's what I did in the past. It wasn't the optimal behavior. It wasn't the best thing to do. I'm going to do different now. And once again, you may not be perfect. But the goal is to get better and better and better and better. Bless you. Is to
Thank
get
you.
better and better and better. And then there's commitment. when you become 100% committed to a thing, it becomes easy, much easier. For many years ago, I made a commitment that only healthy food is going to enter my mouth. I had 3 weeks ago, somebody delivered cupcakes and cookies to me. And Laura I was working with, who obviously didn't know my eating behaviors, sent me that. Did I say, no, I don't want it? I said, thank you. And I immediately said, who am I going to give this to? And I knew one of my neighbors down the street who is skinny, healthy, who likes that kind of stuff. I gave it to her. She was happy. Everybody was happy. I didn't eat it. I didn't think about eating it. The thought never crossed my mind because I made a commitment that only healthy foods can enter my mouth. Same thing with the walking. 2 days ago, I woke up, I didn't feel like walking. Tough. I feel like walking. I'm committed to walking. It is who I am. I am a person who walks every day. So I got up and I did it anyway because I'm committed to it. That's how you keep doing it.
Yeah, so really good points. And I think that the key takeaways that you're giving is really spot on. I would add one thing to it for myself, and that's what I advocate for, is that you do all the things you talked about, but you need to measure your performance on a daily basis. I don't care if it's a simple
Sure.
calendar on the refrigerator. If you had a great day yesterday, make it green. If it is a half-assed day, make it yellow. If it fell short, make it red. It is the brain needs that to remind themselves that I'm on track or I'm off track. When I'm off track, I need to get back on track. Love that. I always say yesterday is a bad check, tomorrow ain't here. What we need to worry about is what we do today. So
Yeah.
with that said, Stanley, where can people find you?
Okay. I have two main websites where they can find me. This whole system is at thewayofexcellence.com, thewayofexcellence.com. And I have 6 books on there, all in that series. They are all available for free digitally. I consider myself very fortunate to be where I am and what I've done. That's why I'm giving them to you for free. There's also a link on the bottom of the page. If you want to write to me just to say thank you, you can do that. If you want to write to me and say, Stanley, I'd like to join one of your groups, or I'd like to work with you personally, you can do that too. The groups and me personally cost money, but downloading the books and doing it yourself doesn't cost anything. It's free. Then I have millionpoundweightloschallenge.com. That is, my goal is to get 50,000 or more people who need to lose 20 or more pounds each, which would be 1,000,000 pounds. There on that website, you have to sign up and join. It's a membership site, but it's free. But the reason I made it a membership site is I want to control who's on the site. I don't want bad actors on the site. I don't want spam on the site. I don't want people giving the other people a hard time, any of that. So it is a protected space for people who want to lose weight. There is a ton of research information, ton of videos, all about what, in my opinion, is healthy eating and healthy exercise. And to me, that is what I recommend to people who want to get in shape. Those are the areas where I focus in, but all of these principles, they apply to everything. They apply to business. Yeah, absolutely.
And
That's why I
it
put
is,
it in.
yeah, and in the podcast, it fits right into self-care, right into the bucket of habit forming. And I think it's a great conversation. And again, for folks that don't compare yourself to Stan's journey, relate to what he has experienced, what he has done to set himself up for success, and to really stay committed. And obviously, not having regained the weight is an evidence of Stanley's success. Give me your final parting thought.
This is your time.
Love it. Short and sweet, to the point, and that is spot on, right? It is that at the end of the day, we can lead a horse to water, but we cannot make it drink. With that said, Stanley, thank you very much for joining me on the show today. To the audience, again, none of this matters unless you take action, right? It is about taking meaningful action every single day. Go to the App Store, get the Dutch Mentor app. It's all in there together. You can track your own habits and behaviors. There's 30 hours of information. It is really important that we can lead you to water, but you are the one who needs to drink it. And through that process, you will become a better version of yourself, both at home and at work. And that's really about living a better life. Stanley, thank you very much again for joining me today. Have fun, and we'll see you again in the next episode.
Thank you very much.